Hey everybody, welcome back to the Comic Wall. It's your girl, the Outcast Angel, and today let's talk about issue 40 of Thief of Thieves. We finally get to find out what Conrad and Celia are going to do to get back at the Zubov brothers. And so, with that being said, we start off 8 weeks later after, I guess, last issue or however this timeline works. It's a little confusing. But we see Conrad decked out in scuba gear, climbing up the side of a yacht. I guess it is. I don't really know. It's let's just call it a yacht. And he enters a room that's full of lasers, and we can see Celia. I'm assuming it's Celia. On his radio or in his earpiece, telling him that the distraction's been set. The camera system's rebooting so he can like go through the lasers, and he's trying to pick the lock, but we hear Celia counting down, and as Conrad is unsuccessful to open the lock, we see this bright flash, and we see that this was all practice. It wasn't even a real heist. Conrad and Celia were just I guess you can say they're practicing, rehearsing, really, seeing what they would need to do in order to infiltrate the Zubovs yacht or boat, whatever it is. I don't know. It's the same thing. Anyway, they start arguing with each other about how they're going to go about this, because Celia wants to do. She just wants to go all out. Yes, they have to be careful, but she's set on getting revenge against them, especially for almost killing Conrad and then sending him to the Russian prison where he was pretty messed up for a good long while. And so Conrad's having none of it. He knows how to be careful, and he knows what he wants to do. Next, we see this video footage of news footage that is kind of the same as the Dakota Access Pipeline ordeal. The one where they were trying to build that pipeline through the Indian reservation / sacred land of Native American tribes, and a lot of people really fought for that. But here we see that the Zubovs are trying to run this huge pipeline through a mountainside city, and as we remember, at the beginning of the last story arc before Thief of Thieves went on hiatus, the Zubovs were talking about they're trying to make a bet. They're trying to make some kind of bet where to see if they can get this small little mountain town moved, and they're the type of rich people that have so much money that they can do whatever they want. Basically they're the 6th and 7th richest men in the world, and apparently they're oil barons, they're crime enthusiasts. And we see I think it's Victor. It's Victor Zubov arguing with his brother over a monitor, and he's talking about how his his TV keeps failing on him. He's saying, that's why I'm telling you, my $120,000 full wall paper flat TV keeps fucking resetting. I've got the guy here now fixing it. And so this is weird, because you'd think that they wouldn't have just any guy fixing their TV. They would have like some I guess professional, because Maxim, the Victor's brother, who he's talking to on the monitor, he's like he's the older brother, so he still kind of talks to his brother in a very condescending tone. And here we see them arguing about their little bet again, because Maxim continues to say running a Zubov pipeline through the city voids the bet. Both of our company payoffs helped by the state government for arranging that type of thing. It's like I'm betting against myself if you bring our oil into it. It's just stupid the way they're arguing about this. But then we see more of Gold Rush, which was the program that Conrad had been kind of hired into stealing for the Zubovs, because as we saw at the last story arc, Conrad and two other world-class thieves were actually hired by them in some kind of bet and contest to see who was going to be the greatest thief of all time, into stealing this gold rush program, which ended up in the death of one of these thieves, the disappearance of another, and the apparent death of Conrad Paulson, in which where we saw he was actually just kept at a Russian prison. But we see here that Gold Rush is a continually running program, I guess, because they both have to access the program, and both of them have to it says here they've rigged the system with a dead man switch. It says each brother has to sign in to the terminals, codes, handprint scans every 24 hours, and they have to do it simultaneously. Otherwise, Gold Rush is automatically activated. They are holding the trigger of a doomsday weapon, a weapon that will completely crash the entire American stock market, which would crash the world economy. And that's the only good news. They also found a way to adapt Gold Rush for tactical use against specific government or corporate targets. They've kept work on the project cauterized, and plenty of dummy projects in their pipeline. And it says here there's been a suspiciously high rate of accidental deaths of key technicians, anybody that might have been able to piece together too much. And then we see some of the workers here saying, you hear about Eric? Terrible. Yeah, Lake Placid. I told him those jet skis were dangerous. We should do something for him, a memorial, whatever. Anyway, we see that the people who are talking about the Zubovs are obviously Conrad and Celia, and I forgot his name, Augustus, Conrad's son. And so we see them trying to figure out how they're going to pretty much take Gold Rush away from them, because they can't just outright attack them, because obviously they're heavily protected, they have a lot of money, and they're, like they said, they're holding the key to a doomsday weapon. And so it's obviously really hard to attack a ticking time bomb, And so they start talking about some GPS system in order to try and access Gold Rush, in order to kind of take the control away from them. And so they start talking, saying their GPS system is on Maxim's yacht. Or the GPS system on Maxim's yacht is kept in a Faraday shielded clean room, so there's no way to remotely access that either. A lot of security, but still it's the nicest opening we've got, because most of the security stays on Maxim and the case, which is where he and his brother do the handprint stuff and everything. And the key to access that room is on a necklace that Maxim is wearing. So obviously they have to get very close in order to take it. Here we see Maxim being guarded by two heavily scarred bodyguards, and he's having some kind of party on his yacht on the coast of Crete. And then as he's addressing his guests, we see this one woman in a bikini and everything kind of side hug Maxim, and starts taking pictures with her phone, saying, "Oh my God, it's Maxim Zubov. I never met richest man of world before. Come on, let's have selfie, whatever, And this obviously doesn't end well, because we see Maxim's bodyguards grab her and carry her away, and then we see this man join Maxim, and we see Maxim saying, "Mr. Bland, excellent. How is Lake Placid?" And Bland responds with, "Definitive." So it turns out Bland runs all of the off-the-books errands for the Zubovs' shady dealings, and has proven to be their most effective actualizer of real-world violence. So pretty much Bland is pretty much his assassin, he'll cover up whatever loose ends the Zubovs have. And here we see Conrad and Celia talking about just the different types of ways they want to attack the Zubovs, and Celia just wants to, steal from them, or kill them essentially. But Conrad wants none of that. He doesn't want to kill, and and stealing from them wouldn't really do much. And so he says that won't put them out of business or end the threat of Gold Rush or keep them from coming back after us. Before we can start fucking with them openly, we have to neutralize the instrument of their earthly wrath, which is Bland. But thing is, they're having a hard time getting to Bland because he's pretty slippery. And here we see that, it's just hard to be able to touch the Zubovs because of Bland. And so Conrad is saying that both brothers will have to be accessing the cases with their real hand scan and at the same time. So we're not dealing with Russian tech this time. If they feel they're in danger, they could trigger Gold Rush. But then we see Celia considering something that kind of surprises Augustus and Conrad by saying, okay, so we grab them both, make them give up their codes, cut off their real fucking hands, and leave them to bleed the fuck out at the same time. So obviously, like, she has a different idea of how she wants to go about this, but Conrad wants none of it. He says, we don't kill, and anymore. Everything is different now. And so Celia just wants none of this. She says, these aren't peers, these aren't civilians. They called the stakes, they killed Fausto, they almost killed you. These are the bad guys. They deserve a bad ending. But Augustus makes a good point because he says, we're the bad guys too. And off to the side, we see Augustus and Conrad talking, saying, kind of talking about this. And Augustus is saying, they put you through a lot. How can you know when the time comes you won't let this robbery turn into a murder? And Conrad says, first of all, we don't rob, we thieve. And didn't I just let Grandin and the crew walk? Doesn't that prove I've changed? Celia overheard that, and she's not happy about that one little bit, because she knows that the crew kind of sold him out. They didn't help him at his worst, especially when he was stuck in that prison. And so they kind of go into this shouting match against each other. And so obviously they're having some trouble agreeing on things. So I don't know how they're going to really get this done, essentially. And so we have a little bit of a flashback of Augustus and Conrad talking about how they're going to hack into Victor's giant TV. And so they can't do it remotely, so they have to do it manually. And turns out that the guy that was fixing the TV in the beginning was actually Conrad in disguise. Now, I think this is hilarious because you always see the spy shows and cartoons where people dress up in these extravagant or eccentric disguises to sneak into places and hack into systems or steal things, But to see it in this comic, especially in this series, is pretty comical to me. And then we see back to this, to that moment where Maxim was kind of ambushed by that woman taking a selfie, and turns out that, what is it? The pictures that she took they had to be deleted, and the phone was destroyed. And the woman gets pissed, saying, "That's $1,000 phone, asshole. Who's gonna pay for that? Who needs $1,000 phone? It's just like I don't know. It's just money's weird, guys." Anyway, we see the whole deal between Maxim and this woman as she's being carried off, and then the deal between Maxim and Bland. And turns out this woman, as she's walking away from the yacht, was Celia in disguise. And she even went as far as using makeup all over her body to cover her tattoos and everything. So she went all out, and she held it together, because she could have killed Maxim just as easily, but obviously she's smart enough to know that she wouldn't have gotten away with it. She would have died. Now we see in Silicon Valley where Conrad is actually printing the key that, printing the key from the picture that Celia had taken on the phone, and it says printing from cloud. So the picture was automatically sent to the cloud. So she was able to save it well enough before, and so now we see that they're on their way trying to track down Bland, but while Conrad is tracking him down, Bland makes it onto a train to Paris, and he misses it. He misses him. Yeah, he totally misses him, and Celia is pretty much left to left to follow him to Paris 5 hours later, where we see Bland walking down the street, entering a shop, and coming out with flowers, and we see Celia watching him through the scope of a sniper rifle, and Conrad is he's arguing with her, saying, "Don't kill him. We need to follow him. We need him." But Celia is pretty set on killing him, and as she's getting ready to take the shot, he picks up a little girl, and turns out it's his daughter. And when Celia sees this, she hesitates, and she stops completely. And so she tells Conrad, standing down, "You win. We do it your way." And obviously she's not happy about that. She wants revenge, and she wants bloodshed, because they fucked with their man. No one fucks with your man and gets away with it. Anyway, that's the end of this issue, and I was lucky enough to get a letter printed in this issue again, so thank you guys. And I start off with, "Hello, Thieves. Okay, Jon, now I know y'all didn't really kill Conrad. Thank you for that. Augustus is okay, I guess, but he was cuter with shorter hair. I couldn't help but think with each issue I caught up with that he'd end up getting himself killed. Anyway, yay, Redmond is back. Kinda. I can't wait to see what y'all are bringing us in the next issue, so see you there." This is a pretty short letter anyway. And Jon Moisan, the editor of the series, responds with, "We could never kill Conrad. Or maybe we could." As I've been saying all along, the story goes to some really interesting and unexpected places. The narrative twists and turns that Brett has built in are among some of the best the series has had, and I can say that you have no idea what's coming. This is really a fitting end for our master thief. Just make sure you pay attention closely. And so that's the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, drop a like, show the love, hit that subscribe button to get more of my videos, ring the bell to get notifications or when I post new videos, so that way you guys stay updated and don't miss out. And if you guys have any theories or predictions as to where you think the series is gonna go, especially with the next this is the 3rd issue of this arc, the next 3 issues, throw them down in the comments and we'll chat about them. And so I'll see you guys next time. Bye.